Imagine this. A mother goes after her young son trying to get him out of a military conflict zone. I am today's host, Nathan, and I'll be explaining 2012's August 8th. It begins with Artyom play-acting Cosmo Boy. He is in an underground cave and is about to retrieve a special energy artifact kept there. It emits a bluish glow suggesting it is a great power source as Dark Lord is monopolizing it. A robotic tiger is released, which chases down Artyom suited up as Cosmo Boy. Artyom fires a projectile from his arm. It's a snare, catches the robotic tiger's feet, and falls. Artyom proceeds to retrieve what he came for. The Dark Lord appears and threatens Artyom. Just then, Artyom's sidekick appears. He is a large robot named Edger. Edger evens the odds as Dark Lord releases some more wildcat apparitions. Artyom decides to get away from there and climbs on Edger's back. They fly off, but an apparition intercepts them very close to the exit hole and explodes. Edger is knocked off course, and they both crash to the ground. The artifact Artyom acquired is flung to the side. Dark Lord now approaches Artyom in a bid to finish him off. Dark Lord points a heavy-duty gun toward Artyom and fires, but Edger gets in the way and saves Artyom. Dark Lord then picks up what he came for but ignores the core, which managed to come apart. This is what Artyom reacquires as he tries to use it to revive Edger. Suddenly, the scene switches to something more familiar. Actually, Artyom is backstage at a drama presentation, playfully reenacting what he sees as he watches. The play is really about Cosmo Boy and Edger, his sidekick, as well as Dark Lord. And Artyom will refer to what he saw more and more as time goes on. He is with his mother Senior in the car as she drives him home. And he begins to imagine things again. He probably likes robots a lot. And he imagines an incoming truck is suddenly transformed into a huge robot. It picks up the car he and his mother are in and tries to squeeze them. Except his mother is not cooperating, and so the robot is unsuccessful. At some other time, they are at breakfast, and Senior is setting the table as her latest boyfriend, Jaeger, talks to her mother. Artyom is there too and has not really warmed up to Jaeger. Artyom peeks under the table and sees his toy robot close to Jaeger's shoes. He is almost on the verge of stepping on the toy and crushing it. And so, as expected, Jaeger accidentally steps on the toy robot as he converses. Artyom, on his part, can only summon Edger, his sidekick, to come around and fight for him. Edger appears and punches Jaeger in the face. And Artyom laughs out loud at Jaeger's distorted face. It is only imaginary, though, and so Artyom is excused from the table. Just then, Senior receives a call from her ex-husband named Zor. He wants Artyom to come and stay with his grandparents out in the countryside. Senior is at first skeptical but sees it as an opportunity to spend some private quality time with Jaeger. So she agrees to it and later takes Artyom to the airport. One of Zor's soldiers comes around to pick Artyom up. Zor is the commander of a peacekeeping force in a certain war-torn region of Russia. After seeing Artyom off, Senior promptly heads over to Jaeger's workplace to tell him the good news herself. And when she does, he jumps for joy over the prospect of a holiday together with each other. Senior gets home and starts to pack her things for the trip. Just then, her mother steps in and asks about where she is going. Her mother then draws her attention to the news happening at that very moment. She opens a laptop, and they can see on the internet that war has broken out around the area where Zor and Artyom are. Senior gets on the phone immediately and asks Zor to send Artyom back. Zor refuses and insists that everything is fine where they are. He also thinks Senior simply wants to start a disagreement and eventually throws his phone to the ground in anger. Senior becomes desperate and decides she will go over there and get her son despite the dangers. She heads to Jaeger's office to inform him, but he is not happy. While in the elevator, she deliberately humiliates him because it seems he cares more for some intimate time than for her son's life. Senior soon lands at the airport and takes a random bus into town. While on the road, the bus breaks down and has to be towed. Not long after they have resumed the journey, their bus is hit by an anti-tank missile, killing the driver. They skid dangerously on the road for a while before coming to a halt. Some people, including Senior, are lucky to be alive. Soon a military-trained rescue team arrives. They put everyone on another bus, but Senior refuses to go with them. She insists she has to go in the direction of the countryside. So a kind soldier decides to drive her personally. They get to a church building, and the soldier says this is as far as he can go. So Senior alights, and as she stands there, a rain of missiles starts to come down on the surrounding town. She runs into the church for safety, but the projectiles repeatedly hit the church. She soon finds an older man there, and he is able to guide her to safety. They both get on a bus, and the man drives away as the bombs continue to rain down. Not long after, they pick up more passengers and continue to go on. At some point, they change buses because of an impassable road. Soon the man gets to his stop, which is a military post, and transfers the driving to another young man. Zor has since called Senior to find out where she is, and she tells him she is on the way to meet him. Zor himself is en route to pick up his parents and Artyom. He gets there, and as they board his transport, an enemy tank appears in front. Zor asks Artyom to go back into the house as the enemy tank fires at his position, killing him and his parents, while Artyom watches from a distance. Artyom even imagines that it's Dark Lord who killed them. Senior is dropped off at a refugee camp. Once there, she tries Zor's number again. This time Artyom hears the ringtone amid the dead bodies of his grandparents and father. He picks the call and is so shell-shocked that he can only say Dark Lord is responsible for the deaths. His mother doesn't really understand what he is saying even as he stops talking to her and runs into the safety of the house. Artyom thinks Dark Lord is after him and that he is next to die. Senior becomes frantic and, in her hysteria, remembers that she still has the contact details of the soldier Zor sent to pick Artyom up at the airport. She calls him, and he directs her on how to get to where he is. So she hurriedly cleans herself at a nearby stream and gets some jeans on. She goes over to a news van and steals a passport. Then she gets to a military deployment facility and finds Zor's lieutenant there. In spite of the stolen passport, she is let through. Everyone going into town, especially journalists, have to ride atop the humps. As they go, Senior uses the opportunity to send a video call to Artyom. He is scared and alone underneath a table for shelter. He sees his mother on the phone, but his wild imagination gets the better of him. As the military escort goes, they are ambushed, and almost everyone is killed. The lieutenant guides Xenia and another lady on foot for a little of the way before he is killed too by an explosion. When Senior comes to, she finds herself among strangers in an underground shelter. Apparently, they have carried her there. But it's not long before Artyom sends her a call too. And so she runs into the open in desperation. She is fired upon as she goes. But some Russian soldiers behind enemy lines have compassion for her and pull her to safety. She tells them she is going after her son, and they decide to help her. They plan their tactical approach and soon hit the road with a convoy of 2 Humvees. And as they go through enemy-occupied territory, they execute their tactical plan skillfully up until one of their men is hit. This forces them to take cover in a nearby building. They soon get reinforcements and are able to regroup. They join forces with another patrol and also discover some civilians hiding underground. They are able to rescue these civilians too. The soldier who has been instrumental in helping Senior thus far tells her she has to go with this group because it's safer for her. But when he turns his back, she runs out on her own. She crosses a treacherous bridge while sending a video message to Artyom to keep him occupied. She spots some enemy soldiers on the way but avoids them. She soon gets to Zor's house and sees the bombed-out bus Zor and his parents were in. By now, the floating ember of fire has landed in the attic and set the house ablaze. There is smoke everywhere as Senior goes in while calling Artyom's name. She finds the phone they've been communicating with and starts to imagine the worst that could have happened to her son. Then from where she is, she sees a little shed outside and figures Artyom may have taken shelter there, being the playful and imaginative boy that he is. She runs over there. Unfortunately, she finds him. But he is lying unconscious, so she administers some first aid. She has to get him to safety, and so she finds an empty car just outside the compound and tries to hotwire it, but it doesn't work. So she runs down the road to where she first saw the distracted enemy soldiers. She is able to steal their jeep as they fixate over another faulty engine. They shoot at her, but she gets away. She goes over to pick Artyom. He is beginning to imagine that his mother is Edgar, his sidekick. She places him in the jeep, and they drive off. But soon enough, the real owners of the stolen jeep come calling, and a car chase ensues. They chase her as she drives through the trees. It's hair-raising as one after the other, they crash. Artyom imagines they are the robotic tigers and that the bullets fired at him and his mom as she drives are ghosts in the form of wildcats. Apparently, it's his own way of coping with the danger, and it's also a way of keeping him alert or alive. Once the car chase trouble is over, another one comes along as they are faced head-on by a tank that fires directly at them but misses. Then Senior drives through a field and stumbles upon a hidden enemy formation. Russian air support lets it rain on this formation as she drives through, and she narrowly escapes. She drives into a town, and an enemy soldier threatens to shoot her but changes his mind. He drives her for the rest of the way to the Russian border. She is soon at a hospital lying by Artyom's side, waiting for him to wake up. And when he does, she is overjoyed. A helicopter is made available to evacuate everyone. The Russian soldier who helped her most of the way catches up with her. His name is Aloha, and he tells them the war is almost over. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from Imagine This, and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.